November 24th, 1971. Portland International Airport. It is 1:25 p.m. on Thanksgiving Eve, and the terminal is a total sea of trench coats and cigarette smoke. Families are rushing to beat the holiday crush. But in the middle of this chaos stands a man who is the very definition of forgettable. He is in his mid-40s wearing a dark business suit, a white shirt, and a black tie with a mother-of-pearl clip. Even though the Oregon sky is a bruised purple-gray outside, he is wearing dark sunglasses. He walks up to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter and pays cash for a one-way ticket to Seattle. No baggage. No ID required. Back then, it was a different world. He gives a name. Dan Cooper. And the agent writes it down. Gate 9. Flight 305. Boarding in 20 minutes. He settled into seat 18C. The last row. And orders a bourbon and soda to the flight attendant, Florence Schaffner. He looks like 1,000 other polite business travelers she has seen before. But as the engines roar to life at 2:00 p.m., Dan Cooper is not thinking about Thanksgiving dinner. He is thinking about the $200,000 he is about to steal. Minutes into the flight, he hands Florence a note. She thinks it is just a phone number from a flirtatious passenger and slips it into her pocket without reading it. Cooper leans in close, his voice calm and almost apologetic. "Miss, you had better look at that note. I have a bomb." This is the beginning of the only unsolved airplane hijacking in American history. But why are we talking about a 50-year-old heist on a channel dedicated to the digital world? Because D.B. Cooper was the original system ghost. Long before the first cybercrime documentary was ever filmed, Cooper was exploiting the software vulnerabilities of the 1972nd aviation system. Today, we are going to dissect this mystery through a modern lens, comparing the analog ghost of the Pacific Northwest to the digital phantoms we track today on the dark web. To understand Cooper, you have to understand his hardware. He did not just pick any plane at random. He specifically chose the Boeing 727 because of a very unique design flaw: the rear air stairs. It was a backdoor. Literally, when Florence Schaffner sat next to him, he opened his briefcase just enough for her to see red cylinders and wires. Whether it was real or just a phishing attempt using road flares did not actually matter. The threat was credible, and the system responded. His demands were precise: $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a refueled plane. Now, look at the social engineering at play here. Cooper was polite. He paid his drink tab. He even tipped. In the world of modern cybersecurity, we see this in business email compromise. A hacker does not always start with a virus. They start with a professional email that looks exactly like it belongs in your inbox. They build a rapport and establish authority before they ever make a demand. That is exactly what Cooper did with the crew of Flight 305, 524 p.m. The plane lands in Seattle and the FBI is scrambling. They have gathered the cash. 10,000 $20 bills with every single serial number recorded. This was the 1971 version of a blockchain trace. Though it was much more primitive and entirely manual, Cooper releases the passengers but keeps the crew. Then, he gives the pilots a set of flight parameters that sound like a technical manual. Flaps down at 15 degrees. Gear down. Unpressurized cabin. And an altitude no higher than 10. 000 feet. He was not just a hijacker. He was an admin who knew the system limits. At 7:40 p.m., the plane takes off again into a brutal storm, somewhere over the wilderness of southwestern Washington. In freezing rain and pitch-black darkness, Cooper lowers those rear stairs. Imagine the telemetry. 200-mile-per-hour winds and sub-zero temperatures. He ties the ransom bag to himself, puts on a parachute, and vanishes into the void. For decades, the FBI looked for Dan Cooper in the mud and the trees. They found absolutely nothing. It was not until 1980 that a young boy named Brian Ingram found $5,800 of the rotted cash buried on a riverbank. This became the ultimate cold case. But the tactics Cooper used have evolved into the digital age. In our modern cybercrime documentary files, we see the D.B. Coopers of the keyboard every day. Think about ransomware. In 1971, you needed a physical plane and a bomb to hold a corporation hostage. Today, you just need a zero-day exploit. Groups like DarkSide or Revil act with the same calm, professional customer service that Cooper showed the flight attendants. They even have help desks to assist victims with buying Bitcoin to pay the ransom. Just like Cooper negotiated his refueling in Seattle. And let us talk about the money. Cooper insisted on $20 bills because they were untraceable and easy to circulate in small amounts. This is exactly why cybercriminals love Monero or crypto tumblers. They are trying to wash the loot until the wallet addresses do not mean anything to investigators anymore. But even the best ghosts leave a footprint. In 2011, scientists used an electron microscope to analyze the tie Cooper left behind. They found particles of pure titanium, which was incredibly rare in 1971. It was mostly found in high-end aerospace labs and chemical plants. This is the 1,970 seconds equivalent of digital forensics. Using metallic dust to try and trace a suspect back to his IP address or place of work, Cooper's story is legendary. But the reality of crime is that there is always a victim. The crew of Flight 305 lived with that trauma for the rest of their lives. Today, the hijackings happen in your pocket, on your phone, and in your bank account. As the digital sleuth, I want to make sure you do not become a passenger on the next Flight 305. Here is your security checklist for the modern era. First, patch your air stairs. Cooper used a known physical feature to escape, and hackers use unpatched software. If your device says there is an update, do it immediately. Second, use multi-factor authentication. If Cooper had to provide a thumbprint and a code from a mobile device, the heist would have ended at the boarding gate. Third, recognize the note. When you get an urgent message saying your account is compromised, stay calm. Do not click the link. Go to the official website directly. Finally, track the paper trail. Keep a record of your digital assets and use a password manager. If your serial numbers start showing up where they should not, you need to know instantly. Did Dan Cooper survive that jump? Most experts say no. The hardware of the human body is not designed to survive a 200-mile-per-hour impact with a freezing forest. But in a way, it does not matter. By vanishing, he became something more than a man. He became a mystery that cannot be hacked, a file that cannot be opened. He remains a reminder that there will always be those who look at a system and search for the one loose screw, the one open port, the one way out. I am the Digital Sleuth. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the intersection of history and cybersecurity, hit that subscribe button. We are going to keep tracing the ghosts in the machine. From the 1,970 seconds all the way to the deep web, Stay safe. Stay encrypted. And keep your eyes on the exit. Would you like me to investigate the Max Headroom broadcast hijack next? Let me know in the comments.